You're watching the Daily Climate Show on Sky News. On today's programme, the billion-pound Gigafactory leading the way in the UK's electric car revolution. He's back. Arnold Schwarzenegger hosts the Austrian World Summit, pledging to terminate air pollution. And how insects could be the solution to reducing deforestation in the Amazon. Hello and welcome to the UK's only daily climate news show where we track the changes happening to our world right now and meet those developing the solutions. And we've got lots coming up today, including how sea otters are helping to keep California's marine ecosystem healthy. But first, a £1 billion electric vehicle hub, including a new battery gigafactory, has been announced by Nissan. Based in Sunderland, the car maker says it will bring together electric vehicles, renewable energy and battery production in a world-first EV manufacturing ecosystem. Now, the site, which would be the UK's largest gigafactory, is expected to open in 2024 and will produce 9 gigawatt hours of battery capacity a year. That's enough to power 100,000 vehicles. Now, to put that into context, the existing Sunderland plant only produces 1.9 gigawatt hours of batteries at the moment. But with the sale of new petrol and diesel cars banned from 2030, far more investment in batteries and electric vehicles will be needed. The Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders says at least 60 gigawatt hours of gigafactory capacity will be needed in the UK by the end of the decade. Well, our business correspondent Paul Kelso has more from Nissan's Sunderland plant.
The shift to electrification here at Nissan is being driven by two factors. The government has said by 2030, new internal combustion engine vehicle production is going to be banned, so they will have to be electric. And there's a Brexit factor too. The deal done between the EU and the UK government means that before 2030, the bulk of an electric vehicle's value, its battery, is going to have to be produced in the UK or in Europe, or they will attract tariffs when they're exported. So there are sound financial reasons for this shift. The project to build a huge gigafactory here is an attempt not just to green the cars, but to green the entire process. It's intended to be 100% renewable energy, fueled by huge solar plant that's being built here, funded with £80 million of taxpayer money from Sunderland City Council. The government's also putting in tens of millions more. So the shift to electrification, while necessary, won't be happening without taxpayers helping pay for it.
Arnold Schwarzenegger has told Sky News countries need to show leadership on climate change and stop waiting for others to take action. He's hosting the Austrian World Summit in Vienna, which brings together heads of state and government, as well as business leaders and activists to discuss efforts to reduce global emissions. Well, Adam Parsons is there. And Adam, Arnie's got a tough message for world leaders then.
Yeah, and they've been listening to him. This is the Spanish riding school in Vienna, one of the city's best-known buildings, converted for the summit today. And the cast list who's been here has included presidents and prime ministers and politicians. Alok Sharma was here on behalf of the government, Nicola Sturgeon among those coming. But really the standout performers that this audience have been listening to, well, there have been two of those. One of them was Arnold Schwarzenegger, we'll come to him in a moment. The other one was Greta Thunberg, who launched the latest of her absolute double-barrel shotgun caustic criticisms of government, politicians, and what she described as high-income nations, she said, have been using empty words, rhetoric, hadn't done anything. The list went on. I have to say, Alok Sharma and Nicola Sturgeon had to listen to that and put on rather awkward smiles. The other person you'll be expecting will be Arnold Schwarzenegger. And we caught up with him to talk about climate change and, of course, the forthcoming COP26 in the UK. Here's what he had to say.
We shouldn't just always think that the COP events are the only solution. It's a very good solution, but not the only one. We should also build a from the ground up movement. We should educate the public so that they are with the programs, that they know what the dangers are and the dangers that lie ahead. And it has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with one thing. Let's go and get rid of pollution, because pollution kills people.
The Chinese and the Indians are putting out enormous amount of emissions. They're not here. Is there any point, in a sense, of really a climate change policies that don't include those two giant industrial nations?
Well, I think that we shouldn't limit ourselves and should think that the only way we get things done is if everyone is in on it. I don't remember John F. Kennedy saying, we are not going to send a man to the moon unless the Chinese also send a man to the moon, unless the Russians send a man to the moon, unless the Europeans send a man. No, he said, we're going to be the first ones, and we're going to go and do it. So that's leadership.
So I think at this meeting, what you've really had is the carrot of Mr. Schwarzenegger saying we've got to be ambitious, and the stick of Greta Thunberg saying young people around the world expect action, and they are not seeing it. One final thought, though, from Schwarzenegger. He said lots of people just don't understand all the terminology. They don't understand what net zero is. They don't understand what carbon credits are. What you need is a single clear message. For him, that message was this: get rid of pollution.
Adam, thank you. In today's other climate news, the World Meteorological Organization has recognised a new record-high temperature for the Antarctic. The 18.3 degrees Celsius reading was taken on the 6th of February last year at a research base on the continent's northwest tip, one of the fastest warming regions on Earth. The committee rejected an even higher temperature of 20.75 degrees, which was reported 3 days later on Seymour Island. Rishi Sunak has promised to tackle climate targets by forcing businesses to report their environmental impact. Speaking at Mansion House, the Chancellor said the new integrated sustainability disclosures requirements will come into effect before the COP26 conference in November. He also announced details of a new green bond, which the Treasury hopes will raise at least £15 billion. The Queen has said we're going to have to change the way we do things during a visit to the University of Edinburgh's Climate Change Institute. The monarch arrived in style in an electric hybrid Land Rover and spoke to students and staff about their research into ways to reverse the effects of global warming. At the end of the visit, Her Majesty was presented with 2 trees that will be planted as part of a special initiative to celebrate her Platinum Jubilee next year. And scientists say sea otters are playing a big part in the fight against climate change. The furry creatures are helping keep California's marine forests healthy by eating sea urchins, whose numbers have risen dramatically in the area. Urchins had been overgrazing on kelp forests, which play a vital role in absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Bangladesh is one of the world's most densely populated countries, with people living along a delta of rivers that empty into the Bay of Bengal. 2/3 of the country is less than 5 metres above sea level, and climate change is threatening the lives and livelihoods of those on the country's coast. Sea surface temperatures in the tropical Indian Ocean rose by 1 degree between 1951 and 2015. The rate of warming is the fastest amongst tropical oceans and accounts for 1/4 of the increase in global oceanic heat over the last 2 decades. As the oceans get warmer, sea levels rise due to a process called thermal expansion. That's when water expands as it gets hotter. The rise in sea temperatures and global warming are also linked to the intensity of tropical cyclones. Between 2000 and 2018, there was a significant rise in the frequency of very severe cyclonic storms in the area. And higher sea levels and receding coastlines mean storm surges cause even more damage. Sky's Katerina Vittozzi has been visiting the villages already suffering these effects of our changing climate, including Kalabogi, where houses have been raised off the ground on bamboo sticks and the land divided by the rising river.
On Bangladesh's south coast, homes don't just flood, they disappear. We're heading to a village called Kalabogi, surrounded by a rising river. Battered by cyclones, this land of mud and sediment is being washed away, taking homes and hope along with it. Nur Mohammed has already moved 5 times.
সূর্য আসছে আস্তে 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 মনে করেন এই আইসি এখানে আসি আর এরপর না এখন কিন্তু উপরে উঠতে হবে কষ্ট শেষ আছে শেষ নাই দেখতেছি ভাঙতে যাচ্ছে এইভাবে আছি আর কি।
Rising sea levels in the Bay of Bengal downstream mean river tides here are getting higher. Storm surges are more intense and dangerous.
ছেলেপিলি বাঁচাইতে হবে তো বাঁচাইতে গেলে অন্য জায়গা পথ দেখতে হবে তা সে পথ দেখবো তা সেটা আয় করি তো ব্যয় করতে হবে আয় হলো কম ব্যয় করি কি দি
Over there, about 500 metres away, is a small island with homes on it. And until about a year ago, that was connected to this bit of land. And it wasn't just a road to walk on, it was a stretch of land that had homes on it where people lived. And when you see this and you think about climate change goals and climate change targets, you like to think that action can make a difference. But really, for people living here, it's already too late. This is why Bangladesh says the world must act. With this year's climate conference needed not to talk about what will happen, but about what's happening right here, right now. Katerina Vittozzi, Sky News in Kalabogi, Bangladesh.
And a reminder that you can hear more from Katerina in Bangladesh in this week's episode of Climate Cast. It's out tomorrow and you can find it wherever you normally get your podcasts from. Now, there might be a bit of a buzz around this next story as researchers have found that insects could help stop deforestation in the Amazon. A study commissioned by WWF and Tesco found that using insect meal to feed fish and livestock could cut the UK's use of soy by a fifth and help protect important habitats in the process. Here's how. That's everything from us for today. Coming up tomorrow, the difficult choice facing Uganda as it struggles to reconcile a huge oil project and the economic benefits it would bring with world-leading laws to protect nature. Thanks for watching. See you then.